Alright, so on this episode, I guess you could say, of Fighting in Boneworks, we have an interesting dilemma. So, we have one melee item and one ranged weapon and one ranged weapon. So, because fantasy is an odd number and melee is an odd number, on the one-handed axe and normal, I guess you could say gray pistol, not the heavy one, but the gray normal pistol that you get in the game. And I think it'll be the one with sight and the greatsword. Yeah, those will have to be crossovers, just like the crossover today. So we are going to be comparing two very different weapons. The, again, normal pistol and the one-handed axe. Now, the obvious thing to say is, well, one uses ammo, one doesn't use ammo. So the one that doesn't use ammo is going to be superior if, you're playing the game, in my opinion, normally. Outside of Arena, where you don't want to use ammo at all. One interesting thing, which I believe I did in a live stream, it's been months to me since I did that, but I showed how you can do double gunning, or pew pew, gun in both hands in Boneworks. So that is something to consider, I guess, that this may be slightly superior in that respect. But I am just going to look at it as if you have just one, because you have just one one-handed axe. This can be found most easily, I would say, in a lot of the levels, but definitely in streets. In the room that you go into, that's the blue key. Yellow key to get in, and then blue key inside. Has this in not one of the desks, I think it is inside a little cabinet. But anyway, let's start a new survival and see how these compare to each other, because yeah, they are entirely different. On one hand, you have a pretty wide surface area on this one-handed weapon. One-handed axe, I mean, the blue axe, whatever you want to call it. It's really so prevalent in the game that for speedruns, I don't even bother giving it a proper name, because I never use it and it's really easy to find, which is like the perfect combination of me forgetting it. But okay, that's a one-hit kill. That's good. Let's see. Oh, and then of course we have to test out the range of this throwing. Oh, that is not a good sign. Ideally it should tumble end over end. Maybe that was just my fault. Okay. Okay. Huh. So it seems like the amount of force you actually need to exert to get a one-hit kill. Yeah, that was not ideal. That was not ideal. Yeah, the shaft isn't that good at dealing damage, as you would expect. But we have found some weird things in this series when it comes to certain weapons where it's like, okay, would not have expected that to be the best way to deal damage. Yeah, you're not down yet. So 2 hits. Okay, not terrible. But before I test the throwing capability, let's switch over to the normal gray pistol. One nice thing, obviously, is the sight isn't terrible, and because it's one-handed, you can maneuver your wrist around very easily. So even if, an enemy is behind a corner or something, you can just do this, which is really nice compared to using a weapon two-handed. That's why I pretty much always recommend using weapons one-handed. It's very rare that I would say use two hands. Really in general, obviously for ranged weapons like this, I use ammo. You obviously want the extra hand to reload as well as the wrist mobility that I was talking about. Both really useful. So yeah, I didn't even really pay attention to how many or how much ammo it took. One nice thing about the pistols opposed to the other really good and objectively superior weapons as far as damage is that pistols help you conserve ammo a lot better, because each time you press the trigger you use one bit of ammo, opposed to other weapons that are more semi-auto. That's why I would say if you're tackling arena normally, get the orange one, sure, but also try and have at least one of these pistols, no matter what the color, in your inventory. That way if you're low on small ammo, you can, you know, focus on headshots and everything. And speaking of, yeah, I was trying, I didn't express myself very well. So I'm trying to see how well the sight works, which is something that I have never done in Boneworks before, with this weapon specifically. The sight is actually pretty good at like medium range, I would say. Okay, yeah, with these guys it's easier to just use one hand. But yeah, steadying the gun is incredibly useful in Half-Life Alyx. However, we are not in Half-Life Alyx, so generally bracing the gun is not as useful as one hand, because your wrist strength in this game, is pretty unparalleled, so there's really no reason to brace the gun. And also, if you wanted accuracy, like, you can still get really good accuracy even without bracing it with two hands. But as I was saying, if you really wanted accuracy, you should probably get the yellow gun, the two-handed yellow gun, because it's great. Okay, that was not the best. That was a massive target, so that wasn't a good example. Oh, that's a good example though. Okay, I went a bit high. That's interesting. Okay. Actually not terrible, not gonna lie. And the sight on this weapon also makes it superior to the one-handed axe. So far I would definitely say gun is winning, because even with the ammo requirement, it is absolutely shredding through enemies, as you would probably expect. Yeah, with the range coupled with the ease of firing, what I mean is, like, it's really easy to miss with the axe comparatively, versus, yeah, it's not awful to get a good hit with the axe, but you can miss and, like, for instance, hit with the backside or hit with the shaft of the weapon. So yeah, but on its own, well, okay, let's see how it throws. Oh, it does get stuck in enemies, but not that much. That's good. Okay. There is the issue that it can land upside down, but the katana has that issue as well. Now we consider it the best thrown weapon, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, let's try, like, yeah, see, if I get it upside down, then issues happen. Whoa. Let's just take this guy down. That is a pretty consistent two-hit kill. So it's still a really good weapon, it's just, compared to a pistol, not really much competition. But let me try this for a bit longer. Oh, too far down. That's the thing with thrown weapons, man, is that since the center of gravity, mass, and part of the weapon then is necessary to face the enemy to deal damage, all three of those are different for every single weapon, so you kind of have to just experiment with each one of them. And so far, not super impressed, as you might imagine from a one-handed axe. It's not the best when thrown. But, yeah. And there's a very high chance that it just doesn't hit on the blade at all. Yeah, see, it can hit, and it doesn't stick in the enemy, so that's good. But yeah, as far as a thrown weapon, just not that great. Let me get some distance to really show that. Like, that should be, oh, okay. I mean, it did get there. But, that's alright. We pretty much saw what we needed to see. So, normal gray pistol compared to one-handed axe, I would say pistol wins easily. Just a lot easier to aim. It has range. It has actually a pretty good scope. Even though I'm not the best at using it, with some practice, I think this is absolutely quite a good weapon. And this weapon is found pretty much everywhere. This weapon is found pretty much everywhere. So rarity doesn't really factor into it. Yeah, I would say this one is the clear winner.